sit there and take abuse and be spat upon, hit in the head with clubs, stone, ugly words thrown at you, and keep your dignity and remain nonviolent. I was one of those people who said that if anyone ever did that to me, I'd stab them in the eye. I'd hit them in the head with a brick. But that's because I was frightened. I was too frightened to go down to Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. I was too scared to sit in the church at night and plan meetings. I was too frightened to be a part of that. But if it wasn't for you people who were down there and did that, believe me, I know in my heart that I wouldn't be here today.
All right, let me see. How did I do this, man? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Okay, right here. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DDTS, episode 255, back with another live video episode. Thank y'all for joining me on this Saturday. I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. As you can see on the screen, of the person I'm going to be talking about today, which is going to be Richard Pryor. I want to try something different because I know it's been stuff out about him, but it's something I wanted to try. So we're going to talk about Richard Pryor. Basically, we're going to be talking about his life, his career, how it expanded, everything like that, because I feel like, it's not talked about enough. People talk about it. I just want to talk about it. So I hope y'all are ready. I hope y'all are ready for a wonderful. Hope y'all are ready for a wonderful show on a wonderful documentary, I guess you should say. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna be reading it from my laptop, so I hope it's okay if I do it from my laptop. So then I'm gonna break it down, and then I'm going to explain it to y'all. So if you're new here, hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and whenever I have content posted, you can click on it and you can just start watching. Leave your comments, leave what you think and everything. Yes, I'm trying something different. I just want to, spread something new. So let me know what you guys think, and thank y'all for coming in. So here we go. Y'all ready to get started? Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna take a sip of this coffee. Okay, so here we go. It says here that Richard Franklin Nenix Thomas Pryor Sr. Ooh, that's a lot. He was born on December the 1st of 1940, and he was an American stand-up comedian and actor. He also reached an audience of his trenchant observations and storytelling style, which is what I'm gonna do. And he was widely regarded as one of the greatest and most important stand-up comedians of all time, which he still is. I feel like, since we're talking about that, I feel like with the comedians we got now in this new generation, I feel like not too many comedians is touching Richard Pryor. Like we got comedians now. We got comedians now. We got comedian in this new day and age, which I don't know too much about. Like back in the day, back in the day when Richard Pryor was coming up, you know, you had Red Fox, you had Richard Pryor, which who we talking about. We had LaWanda Page, Bill Cosby. If you would say he do that type of stuff, you had many of these stand up comedians that paved the way for these new generation upcoming comedians. And now after those, like after Red Fox, after Richard Pryor, after LaWanda Page, and many more, you got comedians like Bernie Mac, may he rest in peace. You have comedians like, to me, Steve Harvey, he ain't funny. I don't even know why. He ain't even that funny. So I don't even know why he's up there. DL Hughley, he's not funny either. But you got comedians like Bernie Mac. It's just my opinion. You got Bernie Mac and all in Cedric Entertainer, he's all right, but this is Richard Pryor. Like we have many peoples before Richard Pryor, which I don't know too much about, but we got Richard Pryor and Red Fox, all of them. They are really funny comedians because I love stand-up comedy because it gives me a good laugh. And I'm just basically being honest and putting it out there and putting it like that, if I'm saying it respectfully. It's just my opinion, y'all, my opinion. Um, let's see where I stopped at. In Pryor, he also won a Primetime Emmy Award and he's also a five-time Grammy Award winner. He also received the first Kennedy Center Mark Twain Prize for the American humor in 1998. Now, let me stop right there. See, this man, his career begun in the 60s. His career begun in the 60s. He started in the 60s and so on and so on. And in that time of his career, he in this time of his career, he has won primetime awards. He's won Grammy awards. He's a five-time Grammy Award winner, and he received his Kennedy Award in 1998 for so many legendary things. Like I said, he won. He was rewarded the Kennedy Center Mark Award for so many things for the American humor because he brought so much humor into comedy, into so much stuff, but in a good way. Now let's get back to it. He also won a Writer's Guide of the America Award in 1974. He listed a number one of Comedy Central's list of all time greatest stand-up comedians. Okay, that's wonderful. And in 2017, he was ranked the first on its list of 50 stand-up comedians of all time, which is deserved. He is deserving of that because he's one of the best. He is deserving of that. Very deserving of that. And I'm gonna tell you this though. I'm gonna tell you this. He's one of the best of all time. Hello, hello, Miss Lisa. How you doing, Miss Lisa? How you doing? Happy Saturday. I'm gonna highlight your comment. Thank you for coming in. Happy Saturday. I hope you're doing good. I'm talking about Richard Pryor today. I'm trying to, I want to try something a little different. I really thank you for coming in today. Thank you. How are you doing today? How are you doing? Yes, yes. Which is I think he's one of the best of all times when it comes to um being one of the greatest stand-up comedians. He's one of the greatest in my opinion. And he belongs in that stage with Bernie Mac. He belongs in that stage with Red Fox, belongs in that stage with LaWanda Page. He belongs in that stage with he was in that stage with Paul Mooney, but we're gonna get to that in a little while. Um ugh, you know, Lisa Renee Unlimited says, I'm wonderful. Love Richard Pryor. That's wonderful. I do too. He was one of the greatest. I'm gonna do my best and try to talk about him. But Miss Lisa, I got a question for you. Is do you think I'm reading his biography from my laptop and I'm gonna break it down and stuff. Do you think that's pretty cool, isn't it? Like I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna read this from my laptop, then I'm gonna break it down and talk about it and talk about it in my own way and give my opinion. Yes, he was one of the greatest of all times. All right. Oh Lord, I don't went too far up. I don't went too far. I don't went too far. All right, I don't went too far. All right, so here goes. It goes like this. It goes. Pryor's body of work includes numerous concert films, recordings. He won the Grammy Award for Best Comedy Album for the I can't say. Ooh, I cannot say this. I can't say this. I can't say it. I can't say it. All I can do is say he won for Best Comedy Album for that. It's crazy in 1974. It is something I said in 1975. And he says, and he won one for Benonineral, the N word, in 1976. And he said, Richard Pryor live on the Sunset Strip. He won that in 1982. Richard Pryor Here and Now, 1983. He is also known for Richard Pryor's Live and Smoking in 1971 and many, many others. So, yeah. He won, I guess that explains his five um Grammy Awards. Now we finna move on to the early life, y'all. I'm gonna move on to the early life. Okay, here we go. It says Pryor was born December the 1st, 1940. He gave up a bottle run up by his grandmother, Marie Carter, who were his alcoholic mother, Gertrude L. Thomas. She was a prostitute, and his father, Leroy Buck Carter Pryor, June the 7th, 1915 to September the 27th, 1968, was and was a former boxer and hustler and pimp. After Gertrude abandoned him, he was 10 years old. Pryor was raised primarily by Marie, a tall, violent woman who would beat him for any of his eccentricities. Pryor was one of the four children raised in his grandmother's brothel. He was sexually abused at age 7 and expelled from school at age 14. Okay, all right. I'm gonna pause right there and I'm gonna talk about that because I've heard a lot retaining to that. I've heard a lot retaining to that. Okay, because I watched a video on it because allegedly this is all alleged. Like I said, this is all alleged. And I really want to give a shout out to Ashley Say So because she also did a video on Richard Pryor some years ago, and I decided to take it upon myself and talk about him. But we can all do it in our own little way and own little fashion. So I'm going to say this. Yes, it is said allegedly that Richard Pryor he grew up in a rough house. Yes, his father was a pimp and it was a boxer. He passed away in 1968, as you heard me read, and as you heard me say. Okay, yes, he did that. Now, let me tell you something else. Yes, he was abused, sexually abused at age 7, and it was said allegedly that a bunch of, I don't know, was they gang members, a bunch of older older boys, they pimped him and they took turns sexually assaulting him. In which I'm gonna tell you this is gonna be where I talk about, his situation and about, why people's was raising eyebrows because of some of the stuff he said in his book about what he said about his sexual orientation, which I'm gonna do my best and get to. Yes. And and I can understand, well, I can't back at that time I wasn't born at the time. But I'm gonna tell you this though. I'm gonna tell you this. Richard Pryor, he went through so much. He went through so much. He had to go with the abuse of his grandmother. His grandmother was abusing him, and he was sexually assaulted. And his mama was an alcoholic. So it's like when you got all this stuff going on around you, and you a little child, you just don't know, where to go. You don't know if you're coming or going. You don't know where your mind is. So that's why, in my opinion, that's why I believe Richard Pryor kind of did the things that he did as he got older. Talking about substances. I know y'all probably heard about this, talking about substances, um, and everything. Okay, let's see. Heath, okay, how you doing, Heath Color? He Healing Color Podcast. I hope I pronounced y'all names right. Welcome to the live. As you say, two by kings with great career sheets, but their personal lives were messy. Yes, it was messy. Trust me, they were messy. They was messy. Okay. Lisa Renee says his book JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling is an excellent read. Watch it, the movie also. You know what? I glanced at that movie, but I didn't finish it. But I'm gonna tell you this though. I hope I'm not getting anything wrong. I'm just taking it from, here, and I'm gonna break it down in my own little words and review it. But yeah, I agree with you, Miss Lisa, and I agree with you, the Heat and Color podcast. I believe it because it was rumors about Paul Mooney, and Richard Pryor. It's a lot, but I'm gonna get to it. I'm gonna try my best to get to it. They had complicated lives, and it's sad that that happened to them the way it did. It is very sad, and you can't help but to think about the situations that that he went through. And it says he also was expelled from school at age 14. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna go one more thing with the early life and then we're gonna move on. Okay. It says he served in the US Army from 1958 to 1960, but spent virtually the entire stint in an army prison, according to a 1999 profile article about Pryor in the New Yorker. Pryor was incarcerated for an incident that occurred while he was stationed in West Germany, angered that a white soldier was overly assumed at the racially charged scenes of the Douglas Sink film The Imitation of Life. Pryor and several others, and his and he was a member of the Henry Brown Lodge number 22 in Prera, where he became a Prince Hall Freemason. Okay, all right. I'm finna break that down. Now, it was said, when they was watching the Imitation of Life, that I guess one of the, like I said, one of the station men was white. He was mocking the Imitation of Life, and it is said, that how it was back in that time, And I guess Richard Pryor didn't like what the man was saying. So what he did, it is said that he allegedly stabbed the man, stabbed the man. And it said the white man was talking all that mess about the movie Imitation of Life. Now I've heard of the Imitation of Life. I watched a little bit of it because I think that's the movie with Natalie Wood. Is it Natalie Wood? Yeah. So yeah, and a bunch of other black soldiers that was on there, they kind of got on that man and started jumping him and everything. So that's probably why he was incarcerated, because of the incident that happened um with that situation. Okay. Okay, we're finna go to the career now. I hope I'm doing all right. I think I'm okay. I'm gonna just be me. I know this ain't nobody interest, but okay. Okay, so we're going to the career. It's his career 1963 to 1969, his early performances. Okay, in 1963, he moved to New York. He moved to New York City and he began performing in clubs alongside performers such as Bob Dylan, Woody Allen, and one of his first nights he opened for singer and pianist Nina Simone, which is one of the greatest of all time, at New York's Village Gate. Now, Simone recalls Pryor's bout of performance anxiety. And this is what Nina Simone said about Richard Pryor. She said he shook like he had Marlon. He was so nervous I could barely watch watch him shiver. So I put my arms around him there in the dark and rocked him like a baby until he calmed down. The night, the next night was the same, and I rocked him each time. Okay, so he was nervous. He was nervous, and Nina Simone said in her words allegedly that I'm gonna put that out, saying that she rocked him like a baby because he was nervous, and that's understandable because you nervous. This is your first act. This is your first show. You don't know how it's going to turn out. You don't know how it is going to be. So yes, I can understand that. And she allegedly said that it happened the next night and the next night. So yeah. And I can understand that and I can see where she's coming from because being in a predicament like that would have you nervous. All right. I'm just gonna I never done this before. Okay. I think we all know. Okay, now we're finna skip like think I'm gonna move down here. Okay, so I think because he had a successful career in the '60s and stuff. Now we're gonna move on to the '70s. And it is said in the '70s, I'll make sure I ain't skipping nothing. So we're in the '70s now. Okay, in the '70s, we are 1970 to 1979. We are with the breakthrough and the acclaim. Okay, so it says in the 1970s, Pryor wrote for television shows such as Sanford and Son, which I can believe, The Flip Wilson Show, and a 1973 Lily Tolman special for which he shared an Emmy Award. During, during his period, Pryor tried to break into mainstream television. He appeared in several films, including Lady Sings the Blues. That is the one with Diana Ross, Billy D. Williams. The Mac, I did not watch that. Car Wash. Now the Car Wash, that's my movie. Car Wash in 1976 with Richard Pryor. It's got The Pointer Sisters, and more people see. I loved the like that was a good movie. It's a really funny movie. If y'all like classic movies like that, watch Cop Wash. It's very good. I'm an old soul in a young body. That's why I know so much the way I know so much and I do research. And he played in so many more films. Okay, so and it said that he signed with the Comedy Ortain independent record label Laugh Records in 1970. And in 1971 he recorded his second album, Craps After Hours. So 2 years later, Pryor was still relatively unknown, appeared in the documentary Where Stacks or something in 1972. It's a lot of other stuff. But let's I'm doing my best, y'all. Forgive me. Forgive me, y'all. I'm trying my best. Okay, let me see. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, so yeah, he had his career. I'm just going by. All right. So he did a lot in the 70s. I apologize. I'm just skipping around. I'm just yeah, he did a lot. He did so much. Okay. Okay, so he did all that in the 70s. He had his career in the 70s. Now we finna move on to the 80s. So in the 1980s, no. We still in the 70s. I need to add some more stuff. I ain't trying to listen. We just still in the 70s. Now, since we still in the 70s, I'm not gonna disrespect. I'm not gonna disrespect Richard Pryor. I'm just gonna just tell a little. I'm just gonna just you know. I'm just gonna go ahead and little sprinkle. So I'm just gonna sprinkle a little info, a little tea, if you will. Well, I'm not sure if it's tea, but I'm pretty sure everybody know about it. So Richard Pryor in the 70s, they say he was acting book wild in the 70s. And he was with one of the biggest women of that generation. He was one of the biggest women who was a big actor, actress at that time. He, oh yes, ma'am, Miss Lisa. I'm finna give y'all the tea. I'm finna give y'all the tea, most definitely. I'm finna give y'all some tea. Okay, so the tea was in the 1970s. He was with this big actress who was a big 1970s star. She rose into stardom. She played as Coffee in the movie Coffee, and she played in Foxy Brown, and she played in Sheba Baby. Do y'all know who I'm talking about? I'm talking about the lovely and legendary and beautiful in the back in the day and still beautiful to this day who has made history and marks. And that is the wonderful Pam Grier. They say Richard Pryor dated Pam Grier. Richard Pryor and Pam Grier, they was together for a while. Oh yes, ma'am, Pam Grier. She's one of my favorite actors. That's why I like the movie Coffee because Pam Grier, she didn't play no games back in that time. She didn't play no games. And you can't talk about Richard Pryor without talking about Pam Grier. You can't talk about most of this stuff without Pam Grier because Pam Grier played a part in Richard Pryor's life. And yes, they say when Richard Pryor, allegedly, they say when Richard Pryor was with Pam Grier, They say you think Richard Pryor didn't mess around and act a fool when he was with Pam Grier? Well, I'm gonna tell you, he did not stop the mess he was doing when he was with Pam Grier. It is said he was messing around with other women, and it is said allegedly that you know he would be so high off them substances, he would just be acting a fool. He'd be wanting Pam Grier to. Ooh, let me tell you this. It was this one story that I've heard. Allegedly, it is said that Richard Pryor, he was on those substances really bad, and he said for himself to get aroused while he was with Pam Grier would want him to do all sorts of stuff to keep him sexually aroused. So what will kept him sexually aroused is that he would put that stuff on his junior, whatever you should say, and wanted Pam to, you know, like that. And he wanted her to, engage in that. And I guess she say no, she was not gonna do that. So it's a lot going on with that. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Pam Grier went to the doctor allegedly, and she wanted to have kids, and they was wondering why couldn't she have kids. So she went to the doctor allegedly, and the doctor did tests on her, and the reason she couldn't have kids was because the substances that Richard Pryor was allegedly doing was all in her uterus and all in her system, and she couldn't even bear kids. And that really broke Pam's Grier. That really broke her so much. That really broke her apart because she wanted kids and she couldn't have them because when she was with Richard Pryor, Richard Pryor was on those substances, and when Richard Pryor was on those substances, and when he was with Pam Grier, she had so much of that stuff that Richard Pryor was allegedly doing. It had got all in her system, all in her uterus, and she couldn't have kids. Now, I don't mean no disrespect when I say that, like this is alleged, but this is, all respect to both of them. But that's why she couldn't have no kids because Richard Pryor, what he was doing, all of the substances and drugs he was doing, it got in Pam Grier out in her uterus, and she couldn't have kids, and it broke her. And it's sad. And he was still messing around with other women, and he was doing extracurricular stuff when he was on that stuff because he caused people to act out. So I'm guessing Pam Grier had enough of the shenanigans. She had enough of all that stuff. So she left Richard Pryor, and I'm gonna highlight this. She left Richard Pryor and moved on with her life. And Richard Pryor, he got married. And everything, this and that, the third. And I don't know, and it is said allegedly that, he shot after either his ex-girlfriend or his ex-wife or somebody that was trying to get in the car. They say he shot after the car and he was running down the street butt naked at one point because of something. I'm telling you, Richard Pryor, he was something else. He was wild. And I'm gonna tell you some other stuff if I may as well. Now, remember when I said about Richard Pryor and Paul Mooney and Marlon Brando? Remember when I brought that up? Okay, it is said that, allegedly, Paul Mooney, they did this roast back in the 70s. And so Richard Pryor was basically roasting Paul Mooney. You know how they do roast. So Richard Pryor was basically roasting Paul Mooney. Paul, Richard Pryor made this joke about Paul Mooney saying that you know what Paul Mooney had to do to let his career be known. And Richard Pryor said to the audience, and they laughed at it. Even Paul Mooney did too. They say Richard Pryor said allegedly that Paul Mooney had to get down on his knees and do the floaty boaty. If y'all don't know what the floaty boaty was, I'm gonna let y'all marinate that in. He had to do the floaty boaty. Basically, it is said allegedly that Richard Pryor said allegedly in that roast that he had to get on his knees. Paul Mooney had to get on his knees and do the floaty boaty to these white men to get to where he at to get to where he was. And do you think Richard Pryor left himself out? Nope, he did not. He did not. Richard Pryor admitted to himself, he admitted to everybody else, and he admitted to his own self on the roast. He even got a video, a clip of his stand-up saying that he did the floaty boaty. Well, he didn't say floaty boaty. He said he sucked the floaty boaty. That's why I say floaty boaty. He did that himself. So hey, back in that time, if you wanted to get relevant and you wanted to get high up, relevant, you had to do what you had to do. So Richard Pryor said he did the floaty boaty. Paul Mooney did the floaty boaty. Hell, they had to do what they had to do. Probably did even more. And Richard Pryor also said, and it also said that Richard Pryor and Marlon Brando did the floaty boaty and everything else because they say Marlon Brando had a party. And you know what happens at these parties? I'm not talking about these Diddy's parties. This is before Diddy came out. You know how they used to have these parties back in the 1970s. Take Studio 54, for instance. They used to get riled up on Studio 54. So take that for instance. Take it for instance now. They say when everybody left from Marlon Brando house, him and Richard Pryor was there by themselves. One thing led to another. They did the floaty brody and rolling down the stream. So, there was that. But that does not take away the fact that Richard Pryor was one of the most legendary comedians that there was and that there ever will be, because ain't nobody replacing Richard Pryor. And it was said that Mike Epps was supposed to play Richard Pryor. Mike Epps is supposed to play Richard Pryor, but honestly, I ain't heard nothing else about it. But in my opinion, I think Mike Epps would do good playing Richard Pryor. I think he would do a good job, but I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so that's how I feel about that. So he had a remarkable career. I'm sorry if I'm skipping around. I'm just basically trying to give y'all, tell my opinion about the whole thing, And in the 1980s, and as the years progressed in the 1980s, his career was established, and it said that Richard Pryor in 1980, he became the first black actor to earn $1 million for a single film when he was hired to star in Stir Crazy. I have not saw that film. I ain't saw that movie. And yeah. And it was said on June 9th of 1980, while on a free basing bridge during the making film of what was the film he was doing? Pryor dosed himself in rum and set himself on fire. Yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you. Richard Pryor, he set himself on fire. He poured Rome on himself, and he took a match and he lit himself on fire, running up and down the street. And so I guess at the time, I guess he was still on substances or this and that the third. I don't want to tell you no story. I'm really not sure. But he lit a match and he set himself on fire while on a set, on a movie set. So it's kind of hard to say and kind of hard to put down, you know what I'm saying? And that's sad what happened to him, you know. He was going through it. He went through it. And also in the 1980s, he was diagnosed with cirrhosis of the liver, which is what, you know, in my opinion, which is what I think would cause his demise, where he passed away in 2005. But let me go ahead and hold on, y'all. Let me see. Um, yeah, but I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to it. But now it says here, I'm gonna go back to it. But it says here in his personal life, he said he met actress Pam Grier through comedian Freddie Prince. Now, for those of y'all that don't know who Freddie Prince, he was the guy that played off of Chico and Son and Chico, something like that. Chico and the Man. That's the name of the show. He played on Chico and the Man, Freddie Prince. And Pam Grier dated him for a minute as well. But Freddie Prince, he committed suicide in the 1970s. I think he passed away in 1973. In either 1973 through 1976. It was one of them where he passed away, where he, you know, he committed suicide. I'm not sure. But I think that's how this story went. And you know, him and Pam Grier, like I said, back to it, they dated. They began dating when they were both cast in the Grease Lightning film in 1977. And it said that Pam Grier also helped Pryor learn to read, and she tried to help him with his drug addiction. So basically, it basically says Pam Grier was basically trying to help him with his drug addiction. Tried to help him with his drug addiction, and I guess, you know, it didn't work. I guess it worked for a little while, but I guess he got back on it, and you know, he did what he did. So, and it also said that Pryor married another woman while dating Greer. That's what I said. That's what I forgot to add in. Richard Pryor married another woman while dating Pam Grier, and he did her dirty. That was dirty how he did her. Dirty, dirty, dirty. And it is said that, you know, Pam Richard Pryor was married 7 times. He was married 7 times. From 1960 to 1961, he married Patricia Price. From 1967 to 69, he married Shelley Bonus. From 1977, he married Deborah Berger. And the wife that he married and was still married to before his death was Jennifer Lee. She was an actress and she was an interior designer. And when she met Pryor, he hired to decorate, like he hired her to decorate his home. So they got married in 1981 and divorced in October of 1982 due to his drug addiction. They remarried on June the 29th, 2001, and remarried until his death in 2005. So when you think about it, for those of y'all in here, how am I doing so far? Did I mess up anything? How I'm doing so far? because I feel like I'm missing something, but I'm just trying to add in what I can. Let me see. Okay, let me read. Um, Miss Lisa Renee says, "Yes, ma'am. He was married 7 times, and he got married when he was dating Pam Grier as well. He was still dating Pam Grier, and he still got married. Yes, ma'am. I said that myself. Very sad. Very, very sad. Miss Lisa said, "You are doing wonderful. You just gave me new information. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really thank you." Yes, ma'am. I try to look up all my stuff and do all my info and stuff and try to, do it like that. Because I like to make sure I give people's up to date. I want to make sure I give people's the right information, not the wrong, and just do what I love to do. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the children. Okay, so he had 7 children with 6 different women. Number one, number one was Renee Pryor, born in 1957. Mother's Pryor's girlfriend named Susan when Pryor was 16. Number two, Richard Pryor Jr., born April 10th, 1962. Murder his was Pryor's first wife, Patricia Price. Number three is Elizabeth Ann, born April 24th, 1967. Pryor, the mother was Pryor's girlfriend, Maxine Anderson. Number four, Rain Pryor, born July 16th, 1969. Murders Pryor's second wife, Shirley Bonus. Number six, Franklin, born April 29th, 1987. Murder Pryor's girlfriend, Geraldine Mason. And number seven, Kelsey, born October 25th, 1987. Murders Pryor's fifth wife, Lynn Berlin. Okay, those are all his kids. Now, speaking of his kids, one of his kids just got married recently. One of his kids got married recently. And I'm going to tell you about that. Now, I just told y'all about his. Ooh, it's a lot on here. Um, it is a lot. Okay, so I think I told y'all about the sexuality, but I'm gonna go ahead and review that. So it said, with his sexuality, he said 9 years after Pryor's death in 2014, the biological book Becoming Richard Pryor by Scott Sal stated that Richard Pryor acknowledged his bisexuality. Like I said, he was bisexual. So, yep. So he's part of the community. And in 2018, Quincy Jones, somebody that likes to start mess too. I don't know, is it because of his age? I don't know, but he waited a little too long, too late to bring that out. He could have, if he wanted that to be known, and if Richard Pryor would have wanted that to be known, he would have told the world when he was still on this earth. Richard Pryor would have, but you know, Quincy Jones, he's kind of questionable too. But that ain't none of my business. But Chrissy Jones and Pryor's widow, Jennifer Lee, stated that Pryor had a sexual relationship with actor Marlon Brando. I just said that. I just said that. Had a sexual relationship with Marlon Brando. When I say sexual, that means just sex, nothing else. Nothing romantic, just sex. Floaty boaty and rolling down the stream. That's all it is. And that Pryor was open with his friends about his bisexuality. And the fact he slept with, and the fact that he slept with me, you know, he was full of pride. He was full of pride in that in that day and age for doing that because a lot of people like to keep it a secret. A lot of them like to keep it a secret, and some of them is full of pride. They don't care what people think and say. They gonna come out with it. That's what I tell you. That he was very proud in what he did. So Pryor's daughter, Rain, later disputed the claim, to which Lee stated that Rain was in denial about her father's bisexuality. Now, Lee later told the Hollywood Entertainment Television series, TMZ, on TV that it was the 1970s. Drugs were still good. If you did enough cocaine, you F a regulator and send it flowers in the morning. Lord of mercy. I think, my goodness. Like I said, let me read that part again. Cause that got me shook. They say Lee told the Hollywood Entertainment television series TMZ later that it was the 1970s. Drugs were still good, and if you did enough cocaine, you would F a regulator and send it flowers in the morning. Woo, my goodness, y'all, this is too much. This is too much. Okay, and it says in his autobiography, Prior Convictions, Pryor talked about having a 2-week relationship with Miss Trasha, a transgender woman, which he called 2 weeks of being gay. And he wrote that in his book. He wrote that in his book. So you can look that up. He wrote that in his book. Okay. And remember when I said early on when he did I don't know if I said it, when he did a stand-up routine and he talked about his experience with his sexuality and stuff. Remember when I told you that? It basically says right here, and it says in the special lives and smoking, prior prior discusses performing fellatio, and he also said in the special in 1977 at a gay rights show at the Hollywood Bowl that he has done the floaty boaty. So that's that. I might be telling too much, or I might be saying so much, and I might not be saying enough. I don't know, but hey, okay. I think I told you. I think I told you about the substance abuse. I'm just going back through it. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and go to the health, how his health declined, and that's gonna be that. Okay, his health problems said in November of 1977, after many years of heavy smoking and drinking, Pryor had a mild heart attack at age 36. He recovered and resumed performing in January the following year in 1986. He was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. In 1990, Pryor had a second heart attack, while in Australia and underwent triple heart bypass surgery in 1991. And in 2004, his sister said that he had lost his voice as a result of his multiple sclerosis. However, on June the 9th, 2005, Pryor's wife, Jennifer Lee, rebutted the statement in a post on Pryor's official website, citing Richard as saying, "I'm sick of hearing this shit about me not talking. Not true. I have good days, bad days, but still I am a talking MF." So that's that. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up and go to the end here and go to his passing. And it says on the morning of December the 5th, 2005, Pryor had a third heart attack at his house in Los Angeles after his wife failed attempts to resuscitate him. He was taken to a local website hospital where he was pronounced dead at 7:58 a.m. PST. His widow was quoted as saying at the end, there was a smile on his face. And it is said that he was cremated. He was also cremated, and his ashes was given to his family. His ashes was scouted in the bay at the Hala, Hawaii by his widow in 2019. The forensics pathologist Michael Hunter believes Pryor's fatal heart attack was caused by a coronary artery disease that was at least partially brought about the years of tobacco smoking. And so Richard Pryor, he passed away and lost his battle with his health on December the 10th, 2005. And like I said, all this stuff is alleged. You can go back and do your research. Do it if you don't believe me. If you think I'm making some of this up, if you think I'm not saying it in the right way, you have the right to go back and look it up because I wouldn't even dare tell you the wrong information. Now, I don't know if I did good on this to some of you all, but I really did my best because I didn't want to do it without on my laptop because I wanted to read it and I wanted to just give y'all the facts of the truth. But Richard Pryor, he passed away on December the 10th, 2005, at the age of 65 or 64 years old. And I'm going to tell you this, substances or no substances, that does not take away the fact that he was a legendary superstar. That does not take away the fact that he was one of the best. That does not take away the facts that he has won numerous awards. And that does not take away the fact that he was the greatest because he overcame so much. And while I'm on that, I forgot to add this little in. Um, the person he was also um sexual harassed and hold on y'all, hold on one second. He was also sexual assaulted by somebody named Bubble years ago. And so when he was little, when he was real small, he was assaulted, sexual assaulted by somebody named Bubba when he was younger and little. So when Richard Pryor got up in age, when he was a grown man, he was signing autographs and everything. And so when Richard Pryor was signing autographs and stuff, he he asked the person, "Who am I making this out to?" And the man said, "Bubba." And so Richard Pryor looked up and looked at Bubba, and Richard Pryor realized that this was the person that sexual assaulted me all those years ago, that abused me all those years ago. And now he's in his line trying to get out. And like I said, Richard Pryor, he started going through stuff when he was a little boy through his grandmother, his mother being an alcoholic, his grandmother not treating him right, him being mistreated, sexual assaulted. I don't, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not saying I'm sympathizing with him, but I'm saying, when if you're going through something so much, people don't know how to take that pain. They don't know how to take what has happened to them and to fix it. So they do what they know how to do and what they're introduced to. Since they have been brought up in pain and trauma, since they have been brought up through pain and trauma, they don't know nothing else but to find something that's going to make them feel good and better about themselves, but they don't know that stuff that they're doing. He didn't know. Well, like, I know he probably knew that stuff that he was doing probably was going to bring him pain and trauma as well. But I feel like since he was brought up with the pain and the trauma, and he went through what he went through, he said, "Hey, I might as well do some more pain and trauma to myself because this has happened to me when I was little. I don't know how to handle it." So I guess that's how Richard Pryor, that's how he dealt with his doing. But I would say Richard Pryor is one of the best. He's one of the greatest. And I am so grateful that I was able to do this. How did I do, everybody? Before I shut this down, how did I do? If any of y'all are on here, how did I do? You can be honest with me. You won't hurt my feelings or anything. I can handle it. I can handle it. How did I do? Okay, let's see. Awesome job. Miss Lisa said, awesome job, DeAndre. Keep the commentary coming for us. Enjoy your day, everyone. Thank you so much, Miss Lisa. Thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to continue to do just that. Keep it coming. But be sure if y'all can come back tomorrow. I will be doing a video of the upcoming life of Carmela Harris, our vice president. So I will be doing a video on that tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. if y'all are available. I will be doing a live on that as well. It's requests. And if y'all got any requests, please let me know. Inbox me or reach me on Facebook or anything. I will do requests for anybody. Whoever want me to do a video about somebody, an artist, a singer, anybody, just let me know. And it's free. I don't mind doing it at all. So just let me know. And this will be the story about Richard Pryor, one of the greatest. And his son got married a couple of days ago. So congratulations to him. So this will be my video about Richard Pryor. I hope you all enjoy. Have a wonderful Saturday, you all. Thank y'all for watching. I love you all. And like, comment, subscribe. Be back with another video as soon as possible. Thank you. Love you all. Bye-bye.
To sit there and take abuse and be spat upon, hit in the head with clubs, stone, ugly words thrown at you, and keep your dignity and remain nonviolent. I was one of those people who said that if anyone ever did that to me, I'd stab them in the eye. I'd hit them in the head with a brick. But that's because I was frightened. I was too frightened to go down to Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. I was too scared to sit in the church at night and plan meetings. I was too frightened to be a part of that. But if it wasn't for you people who were down there and did that, believe me, I know in my heart that I wouldn't be here today.